Today, Rewind Sports brings you the most ultra-violent match in history, the Battle of Nuremberg. But to put you in context, we must go back in time, so let's rewind. It was the World Cup in Germany in 2006, where Portugal will get through the group stage with a perfect score after defeating Angola, Iran and Mexico. Their opponent in the round of 16 would be the Netherlands, who defeated Serbia and Montenegro, Ivory Coast and tied 0-0 with Argentina to finish second due to the goal difference. Both teams were top class. Let's look at the lineups for that day. For the Portuguese, a former Golden Ball winner in Figo, and a future Golden Ball winner in Cristiano Ronaldo, and Barcelona's attacking midfielder Deco. Meanwhile, the Dutch, wearing white, had the offensive trident that would go on the Finnish runner-up and bronze medalist in the next two World Cups, Wesley Snijder, Robben van Persie and Arjen Robben. Now, to analyze this game and understand how it reached the point of being one of the most cards in the history of the competition, it will be necessary to divide it into 4 chapters. Chapter number 1, CR17. The match started with possession by the Netherlands, who almost scored in the game's first minute. Immediately after that, the opening foul of the match by Van Bommel on Cristiano Ronaldo when he was on a progressive run. But that wouldn't stop the Manchester United superstar. Then came this foul from Belarus. For much less there would be a red card, but the Russian referee Valentin Ivanov, this was only a yellow card foul. Many years later, the truth came out after Van Basten, manager of the Netherlands team, said that he ordered to stop Ronaldo with as many fouls as necessary. But why? Well, that's because of the experience that they had 2 years earlier when the same countries met in the Euro semi-finals. They focused so much on stopping Luis Figo that they had forgot about the 19-year-old teenager, a star that day scored a key goal. The idea then was to stop Cristiano Ronaldo by all means. The violence of that kid would have Cristiano Ronaldo limping, and finally 6 minutes after that he decided to leave the field with the ball in motion to be attended. At that moment is where the ultimatum of the coach Luis Felipe Scolari arrived. Next time, I'll take you off, he said. Halfway through the game, Maniche's foul on Van Bommel was also very harsh, and we were only talking about the 19th minute of play. Let's get back to our protagonist in this chapter of the story. He managed to dribble 2 of the main rivals. He would pass the ball to Deco, then he crossed to Pauleta and back to Maniche, and he would score the first goal in the game. It seemed that Cristiano Ronaldo was back at his 100%, something he wanted to demonstrate with this spectacular run and these passes, but nothing could be further than the truth. The pain was back and it never went away. Either way, the inevitable change came up, and Simao came into the field. And as you can see, Cristiano is very upset and crying on the bench. Chapter number 2, Portugal seeks for revenge. As the game continued, the Portuguese were really upset and they were looking for vendetta. Possession for the Netherlands, beautiful dribble by Van Persie, who almost scored. More goal chances now? Well, not yet. The vendetta was still cold. Costinha's foul, quick but painful to Oyer. Snijder gets annoyed and asks for a second card, but the referee said, "Let's keep on playing." The following actions would be this: penalty for the team in white, red card and jail without parole for Nuno Valente, or so anyone would think. For Ivanov, the foul was in favor of the Portuguese team. Let's go back. This was when he pointed out. It was odd that the Netherlands, 4 years later, would commit the same fault against Spain. There was no red card that time either. The thirst for revenge continued. Now we see Deco stomp on his Barcelona teammate, Van Bommel. Simao's cross to Pauleta and a shot and an extraordinary save by Van der Sar. This is the third chance of the match. It is pretty unusual that the first red card only came after a handball. After all the kicks and punches and all the violence that we lived in the first half of the game. And the winner for the first red card was Costinha for Portugal. Chapter number 3. Football appears at last. After the first red card of the match, the Netherlands advanced on the field, and the game finally got some rhythm. Robben's cross and a defensive mistake and Cocu shot on the post immediately came to the Portuguese response, and the only way they could, a counter-attack. Miguel Fernandez's run, a shot, and again Edwin saves it. And Simao's foul stops the game. The Dutch are not complaining at all or fighting, so they restart almost immediately. Van Bommel shoots from long distance and Ricardo appears. In a minute and 20 seconds, there was one shot to the post, a shot controlled by Van der Sar, a yellow card, and a shot deflected by the Portuguese goalkeeper. Now Figo to Manishi. Shot and control, again by Van der Sar. Snijder responds with a long distance shot and Ricardo makes a great save at the minute 13 of the second half. Chapter number 4. All goes to shit. This foul on Deco makes everything explode. Van Bommel insinuated that the Portuguese were simulating. Figo got really upset and he headbutted him. And Belarus was just there to see it. The Inter Milan player will complain about receiving a yellow card for the headbutting to an opponent without the ball in motion. Ariel Ortega, for the same thing against the same opponent, was sent off in the quarterfinals in '98. Simao takes a free kick. The ball goes relatively close, but Belarus wanted revenge. He elbowed Figo straight in the face in front of the Portuguese bench. That was a second yellow card for him. A brawl breaks out. The Dutch wanted the head of Figo, who they blamed for all this mess. A ball goes straight into the Portuguese area, a shot by Snijder and a deflection by Ricardo Carvalho, who received all Wesley Snijder's weight on top of him. The counter-attack begins, but the referee stopped the action so the defender can be massaged on the leg. At that moment, Figo asked Cocu for the ball for fair play, and Cocu answered something like this: "Of course, champ, whatever you ask me to do." But later, he didn't do it. Of course, this didn't amuse Deco. He gave Heitinga a very strong foul from behind. He was lucky that he didn't end up in the hospital. That was a yellow card for the Barcelona player, but while Ivanov showed it to him, all of the Portugal team insulted the Dutchman who had fallen on the pitch. There is Snijder full of fury and he pushes Petit with a lot of violence. That makes him fall on his rear end. A yellow card for Wesley, a yellow for Van der Vaart for complaining, and a yellow to Ricardo for wasting time leaving the area. Finally, the game continues and we have one more play booked. Nuno Valente for a bit of a kick on Van Persie's ankle. Another foul is called in favor for the Dutch. Deco grabs the ball and Cocu knocks him down to the ground. A yellow card, but according to the referee, it is for Deco for delaying the game, as he already had. The midfielder gets a red card. Only 10 minutes left and Kiewit missed the chance. 4 years later, in an action incredibly similar to this one, Robben would have given the first World Cup to his country, but he also missed it. If anyone was still to come into the conflict, it was Van der Sar. But that would be over. The goalkeeper responded by pushing him. Kiewit would have one more. He turns around outside the box, and his shot goes right into the middle of the goal. Van Bronckhorst loses the ball to Thiago, and his attempt to recover it, he knocks down the Portuguese. Thus he sees his second yellow card and then the red one. 20 cards of the game, according to FIFA's count, 16 if we count double yellows and reds as one. And then, just like good friends, Giovanni and Deco sat together in the stands to watch the end of the match. Indeed, the friendship would have ended if Thiago scored at the 96th minute. The ball went really close. It remains to be seen what would have happened if Van Bronckhorst would have celebrated the goal in front of his teammate. This was the most violent game in history. Despite 2 suspensions, Portugal would overcome England on penalties in the quarterfinals, only to lose to France 1-0 in the semifinals. If you like this video, drop a like, share and subscribe. We are Rewind Sports, rewinding history.